So, lads, a brand new Caitlin Clark workout, and this time it is with Brianna Turner, a new player for the Indiana Fever, who I think is going to be a decent addition. Like, look, Bri Turner, is she going to be anything spectacular? No, but is she going to be a very solid defensive backup? Sure.
Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are already turning heads, and the season hasn't even started yet. A recent video of Clark working out with her new teammate, Brianna Turner, is creating quite the buzz. Fever fans are hyped, and honestly, they have every reason to be. Stick around as we break down the viral clip and why this duo could be a game-changer for the Fever this season. The WNBA is just 2 months away from tipping off its 2025 season, and teams are gearing up. For the Indiana Fever, expectations are through the roof. After a busy offseason, they brought in some serious talent to complement Caitlin Clark. One of the most exciting additions? Defensive standout Brianna Turner. And it didn't take long for fans to get a glimpse of what's brewing in Indiana. On Wednesday, the Fever dropped a practice video featuring Clark and Turner, and let's just say, fans are loving it. The video captured a seamless play where Clark dished out a pinpoint assist to Turner for an easy layup. It was simple, but the chemistry was undeniable. For Fever fans, this moment wasn't just a highlight. It was a glimpse into what this team could become. And the reactions? They poured in. One fan declared, "We're getting that championship this season." Another joked, "Someone's actually setting a pick for Caitlin. It's over for the league." From excitement to bold predictions, the Fever faithful are clearly fired up. So why is this video such a big deal? For starters, adding Brianna Turner gives the Fever a much-needed defensive boost. Turner's ability to block shots and dominate the paint will take a lot of pressure off Clark, who will now have even more opportunities to shine as a playmaker. But it's not just Turner. The Fever had a blockbuster offseason, bringing in names like Sydney Colson, Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Jaylen Brown, and Sophie Cunningham. With so much talent around her, Clark won't have to carry the load alone. That's a scary thought for the rest of the WNBA. The wait won't be long for fans eager to see the Fever's new-look squad in action. Training camp kicks off on April 27th, and the regular season begins on May 16th. With Clark entering her second year in a revamped roster, Indiana has all the pieces to make a serious playoff push. Will this new chemistry lead to a championship run? Now let's talk about Caitlin Clark's evolution. Coming off her impressive rookie season, where she earned the WNBA Rookie of the Year award, Clark is determined to elevate her game even further. She averaged 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds last season, proving she belongs among the league's elite. But what's really exciting? Her expanded role as a leader. In this practice clip, you can see her directing the floor, orchestrating plays, and building that chemistry with her teammates. For a second-year player, that level of confidence and command is rare. But not surprising for Clark now. With Turner as a lob threat and defensive anchor, Clark's assist numbers could skyrocket. The Fever's offensive sets are also likely to become more dynamic, with more movement and spacing to complement Clark's sharpshooting ability. But what about Brianna Turner? If you're not too familiar with her game, let's break it down. Turner is a defensive powerhouse. Over her career, she's consistently ranked among the WNBA's top shot blockers and rebounders. In Phoenix, she was often tasked with guarding the league's best forwards. Now in Indiana, her presence in the paint will provide the Fever with much-needed rim protection. Plus, her ability to run the floor will give Clark a perfect target for fast break opportunities. Now, while the Clark-Turner duo is already showing promise, let's not forget the other big additions the Fever made this offseason. Natasha Howard brings championship experience and veteran leadership. She's a 3-time WNBA champ with a dominant inside presence. DeWanna Bonner is a proven scorer and playmaker who can provide versatility on both ends of the floor. Sydney Colson offers experience and defensive grit, perfect for mentoring the Fever's younger guards. Jaylen Brown brings fresh energy and will compete for minutes in the rotation. And of course, Sophie Cunningham is known for her toughness, shooting, and competitive spirit. She and Clark in the backcourt? That's going to be must-watch basketball. This level of talent and depth is something the Fever haven't had in years. And with Clark at the helm, this roster has all the makings of a playoff contender. But perhaps what's most exciting is the fan reaction. Fever fans are passionate, and it's clear they're feeling the buzz. Just look at the comments. People are predicting championships, MVP seasons, and deep playoff runs. Some fans even joked about opponents struggling to defend the new-look Fever, especially with Turner setting strong screens for Clark. It's the type of confidence you love to see from a fan base that's been waiting for their team's resurgence. So, what's your prediction for the Fever this season? Will Caitlin Clark lead them to a playoff run? Will Brianna Turner make a Defensive Player of the Year push? And how will all these new faces gel on the court? As we head into Caitlin Clark's second season, one thing is clear. She's not just the star of the Indiana Fever, she's becoming the face of the franchise. And with that comes the responsibility of leadership. It's easy to forget that Clark is still early in her career. But what sets her apart is her maturity and competitive drive. Her ability to elevate her teammates was on full display in that practice video with Brianna Turner. From reading the defense to making the right play, Clark is proving she's not just a scorer, she's a true floor general, and it's not just about the on-court chemistry. Off the court, Clark is quickly becoming a leader in the locker room. Reports from training camp suggest she's constantly studying film, offering advice, and setting the tone for the Fever's new culture. This growth is exactly what Indiana needs if they want to make a serious playoff push this season. Now that we've talked about the Fever's improvements, let's look at how they stack up against the rest of the WNBA. The defending champs, the Las Vegas Aces, are still the team to beat with Aja Wilson leading the charge. The New York Liberty, led by Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, will also be a major threat. And don't sleep on the Connecticut Sun or the Dallas Wings, both teams loaded with talent. But with Caitlin Clark running the point and players like Brianna Turner adding defensive toughness, the Fever might just surprise a lot of people. The key will be staying healthy, building chemistry, and locking in on the defensive end. And speaking of impact, we can't ignore the Caitlin Clark effect. Since her arrival, the Fever's games have been must-watch events. The team's ticket sales have skyrocketed, viewership numbers are climbing, and they've become a major talking point in the basketball world. It's not just about the stats. It's the way Clark makes the game exciting. Her deep threes, no-look passes, and competitive fire are exactly what the WNBA needs to grow its fan base. Alright, so what should Fever fans keep an eye on this season? Here are a few key storylines to watch. Clark and Turner's chemistry. Will this budding duo continue to shine? Veteran impact. How will stars like Natasha Howard and DeWanna Bonner contribute to the team's success defense wins games? With Turner anchoring the paint, can Indiana become a top defensive squad Clark's MVP campaign? Some fans are already whispering about Caitlin Clark making a run at MVP. Could this be the year she takes that leap? So, what's your take? Are the Indiana Fever legitimate contenders this season? Will Caitlin Clark and Brianna Turner become the league's next dynamic duo? Or do you think another WNBA team has the upper hand? One of the biggest questions heading into this season is, how will Caitlin Clark adjust her game in year 2? In her rookie season, she faced some of the toughest defenses in the league. Teams threw double teams at her, pressured her full court, and tried to force her into tough shots. But now, with a stronger supporting cast and another year of experience under her belt, Clark has an opportunity to evolve even further. One area where she could make a leap? Shot selection. Last season, Clark had to take a lot of tough, contested shots because the Fever lacked spacing and strong screens. But with Brianna Turner setting hard picks and the addition of elite shooters like Sophie Cunningham, Clark should find herself with much better looks. The Fever finished outside of the playoffs last year, but this season could be different. Let's break down what they need to do to become a legitimate playoff threat. Defense, defense, defense. Last season, Indiana struggled to stop elite offenses. With Turner as their new defensive anchor, they need to turn that around. Improved three-point shooting. Clark was the team's best shooter, but now with Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner, the Fever should space the floor better. Bench production. Depth is key in a long WNBA season. Players like Jaylen Brown and Sydney Colson will need to step up and provide quality minutes. Limiting turnovers. Clark had some high turnover games in her rookie year. With more experience, expect her to take better care of the ball. One of the best parts of this season? The rivalries. Caitlin Clark already has a few intense matchups that fans can't wait to see. The Fever's games against the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese will be highly anticipated, especially after the competitive back-and-forth they had last season. Then there's the showdown with the New York Liberty and Sabrina Ionescu, where Clark will go up against another elite playmaker. And of course, don't forget the matchups against the defending champion Las Vegas Aces. Can the Fever take down Aja Wilson and company? These games will be absolute must-watch TV. Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the Indiana Fever, she's changing the WNBA. Her impact is already being felt across the league. More fans are tuning in, merchandise sales are skyrocketing, and the Fever are selling out arenas. Clark's ability to bring attention to women's basketball is something we haven't seen at this level in a long time. All right, let's talk about it. Could Caitlin Clark win MVP this season? It's a bold prediction, but not impossible. If Clark leads the Fever to a top seed and puts up crazy numbers, she could find herself in the MVP conversation. Of course, she'll be competing with superstars like Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Alyssa Thomas. But if Clark takes that next step, we might just see her name among the league's top candidates. To really appreciate what Brianna Turner brings to the Fever, let's take a quick look at her journey so far. Turner was a standout at Notre Dame, known for her dominant defense and rebounding. She played a key role in the Fighting Irish's success and was drafted 11th overall in the 2019 WNBA draft. In Phoenix, she became a defensive anchor, consistently ranking among the league's top shot blockers. Now in Indiana, Turner has a fresh opportunity to shine alongside Caitlin Clark, and considering how quickly they clicked on the court, this partnership could be one of the most exciting duos to watch this season. Of course, no team is without its challenges. The Fever showed major progress last season, but they still have a few areas to improve. First up, defense. While adding Brianna Turner and Natasha Howard will certainly help, the Fever ranked near the bottom of the league in defensive efficiency last season. They'll need to tighten things up if they want to compete against elite teams like the Aces and Liberty. Then there's three-point shooting. While Clark is one of the best shooters in the game, she'll need more consistency from her teammates beyond the arc. Sophie Cunningham's arrival will certainly help, as she's a proven threat from deep. And lastly, depth. With so many new faces, chemistry will be crucial. The Fever's bench production will need to step up, especially during the grueling stretch of the regular season. But despite the challenges, Fever fans remain some of the most passionate in the league. And after that viral practice video? Let's just say the hype train is officially rolling. One fan even commented, "We winning it all this year?" Another joked, "OMG, someone's actually setting a pick for Caitlin? It's over for the league." And others praised Brianna Turner, calling her a block machine ready to make a big impact. It's also worth noting the impact Caitlin Clark's growing stardom is having on the WNBA as a whole. Her presence has elevated viewership, boosted ticket sales, and expanded media coverage. And with her continued development, she's helping bring even more eyes to the league. That's a win not just for Indiana, but for women's basketball in general. Plus, players like Brianna Turner, who may not have gotten as much spotlight before, now have the opportunity to showcase their talent on a bigger stage. It's a ripple effect that benefits everyone. So where does this leave the Indiana Fever heading into the 2025 season? With Caitlin Clark leading the charge, Brianna Turner locking down the paint, and key veterans providing leadership, the Fever have all the tools to compete. But will they live up to the hype? My prediction: Indiana makes a solid playoff run, and Clark continues her meteoric rise. Could we see her in MVP conversations? It's not out of the question, and who knows, with the right momentum, a deep postseason push could be on the horizon. And that wraps up today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for all the latest WNBA content. From game analysis to player interviews, we've got you covered this season. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go Fever!